Everybody thought Billy Beane had lost his mind. In 2002, this general manager of the Oakland Athletics threw together the worst successful baseball team in history. He recruited players with records far below average. Even I could have made the team. Some of his athletes were so bad that their teams actually paid Billy to take them. Yet Billy's Oakland A's went to the playoffs multiple times over the last decade and even set a record for 20 consecutive wins in a single season. Off the field, this unlikely success inspired the book and movie Moneyball. Like Billy, Jesus also threw together the worst successful all-star team in history. He recruited disciples with levels of faith and forgiveness far below average. Even I could have made the team. Similar to the Oakland A's, Jesus' dream team was a nightmare. At first, they'd always disappoint and miss the point of his teachings. He must have had a sense of humor when picking these guys. Consider 3 such all-stars mentioned in today's gospel: James, John, and Peter. First, we'll take a look at Jesus' second-round draft picks, James and John. Jesus nicknamed them Boanerges, or sons of thunder. Like thunderclouds, they were known for loud grumbling due to their rapidly heated egos. They once approached Jesus and boomed, "Teacher, we want you to do whatever we ask." Anything that starts out like that cannot be good. Jesus braced himself. "Well, what is it that you want?" They replied, "Grant us to sit at your right and left sides in glory." Swing and a miss. Struck out by their humility, Jesus said, "Whoever wishes to be great among you must first be your servant." Things failed to improve when he took his team on the road. It was a long, sweaty journey, and at some point, Jesus needed a siesta. So he tried to stop in a Samaritan town. Unfortunately, the townsfolk would not allow him because he was Jewish. When Sons of Thunder heard this, they asked the Prince of Peace if they could kindly blow the place to pieces. "Lord, do you want us to command fire to come down from heaven and consume the whole village?" Cut on and missed. In response, Jesus simply continued on his way, but not before rebuking his little misguided demolition crew. Now, I know what you're thinking. Nick, surely Jesus' first-round draft pick must have been an improvement over these thunderheads. Well, every leader needs a confidant, a rock who can be counted on through thick and thin. So I'm not sure what Jesus was thinking when he picked Simon. This chief of staff was more like a chief of gaff. Contrary to popular thought, Jesus nicknamed him Peter, or Rock, not necessarily because Simon was a sturdy foundation. The name had much more to do with this follower's boldness and occasional density. He once lived up to his nickname when he saw Jesus walking on water and felt bold enough to try for himself. Although Jesus saved Peter from drowning, he never let him live it down. Indeed, Jesus also called Simon Rock because he swam like one. Peter's forgiveness skills were almost as good as his breaststroke. Rock once asked, "Lord, if another member of the church sins against me, how often do I gotta forgive? I mean, as many as 7 times?" Jesus replied, "Not 7 times, but 77 times. You see, how often should I forgive actually implies how often should I not forgive. Taken to its worst extreme, he's really asking, "Oh, loving God, how often should I hate?" Another swing and a miss. Well, good thing Jesus did not apply Peter's forgiveness quota to Peter himself. Just hours before Jesus' trial, rock rolled away. He cursed and swore that he never even knew Jesus. When he was needed most, Peter petered out. As you can see, Jesus should have let his fishermen stick to fishing, but he didn't. You know what? That gives us hope. His comic choices can help us go easy on ourselves. If even Jesus' own contemporaries had a hard time being Christian with Christ right in front of them, then perhaps we can cut ourselves some slack. Whenever we stumble, we can look back on the thunderheads and on the rock and invite ourselves to start again. After all, each of them may somehow represent a piece of us. We pull a Peter whenever we act a bit bold and dense, and we pull a Sons of Thunder whenever we're a bit full of ourselves. If Jesus stooped to pick them, then surely there is hope for us. I'm just not going to ask what our nicknames might be. With standards such as these, practically anyone can become a follower. And the key word is become. Christianity is a verb. In truth, no one is really a Christian except for Christ. For the rest of us, this path is a lifelong process, an action, a verb of becoming a follower of Jesus. Jesus often referred to his disciples as, quote, little children. This not only suggests that they could barely function as adults, but it also suggests that they had room to grow. Although perfection is not attainable, discipleship apparently is. Becoming a follower of Jesus is a process overflowing with mistakes. When we forget that, we risk idolizing ourselves over the one we are called to follow. I often look at the title of my degree and laugh. Master of Divinity? Really? It belongs in a Harry Potter movie. That's a title that Sons of Thunder would have given themselves. Ain't nobody master in divinity except divinity. If nothing else, Jesus' all-stars teach us how to flunk divinity. But they didn't stop there. They regrouped and started again. And when they did, they became some of the worst successful all-stars in history. Here's how they knocked it out of the park. James, or Son of Thunder number 1, went from being full of himself to giving fully of himself. Shortly after Jesus died, James was willingly executed for his faith. As for John, or Son of Thunder number 2, he traded in his dynamite for graphite, authoring the book of Revelation and 3 epistles, not to mention a gospel. In fact, Jesus loved John so much that he called him his beloved and even entrusted his own mother to him during the crucifixion. And we must not forget the rock, who ultimately became the bedrock foundation of Jesus' church. When he wasn't sinking, Peter's rock-like stubbornness actually helped his faith. He was the first of the apostles to both deny and proclaim Jesus' identity. And while the others sat around calling the resurrection an idle tale, Peter tail-ended to the tomb. The ultimate testament to his boldness occurred during his own death. Considering himself unworthy of dying like Jesus, early church traditions report that Peter insisted upon an upside-down crucifixion. Some 2,000 years ago, Jesus passed along the Sea of Galilee and saw what Billy Bean saw, a money ball inside his screwballs. As Jesus passes along the Hudson today, I imagine he also sees straight into our hearts. May he find us in a process of becoming, of resurrecting into a more whole, a more holy version of ourselves. Thank you.